Welcome to Coleman Report Live. I'm Bob Coleman. We're talking Main Street and the small business lender who helps it grow. Joseph Coleman's in the house. Joe, good to see you. John Riosti and Lance Sexton.
Hey, everyone.
Where's Delaney? Delaney took the week off? How come
Lynn's off for the week.
How come she got some time off, Lance?
I think she's prepping for the beginning of her graduate program starting next week. Maybe catching her breath. I'm not sure.
Nah, she's done a good job. She deserves it. Hey, John, good to see you. What's going on? And you're West Virginia's in the news, I guess. What's happening over there?
Well, there was a pretty significant deal with regard to SBA Lending Friday. I didn't write this story for us.
Okay.
My colleague Jim Dobbs did, but NFIB Financial in Fairmont, West Virginia, is going to buy the holding company for Westtown Bank and for Windsor Advantage, the servicing company. They are both owned by the same holding company, or in the same holding company called Integrated Financial Holdings. And oddly enough, that's based in North Carolina. It's an unusual company, but the upshot of this all is that for about just under $100 million, NFIB in Fairmont is going to enter the SBA business in a big way, because Westtown itself is a pretty significant SBA lender, and they're also sort of heavy in SBA servicing, so through Windsor Advantage.
The Windsor Advantage is our friend Chuck Evans, right, Lance?
Yeah, that's correct, Bob. And they're, if not the largest, one of the largest lender service providers in the country.
Yes.
So Windsor will now be associated with MNB. Is that
NFIB?
Okay.
Yeah, they're a very interesting bank. They bank. They were a very early mover in fintechs, banking fintechs. And also, they're significant in gaming. They have a business banking gaming company. So, they're an interesting bank. They're a bank that's willing to move out in some very unique directions, and now they have seen fit to enter SBA lending.
I know you don't know the answer to this, but maybe speculate or give a guess. The SBA part of it, was there any premium for SBA expertise in the transaction?
Well, it's, I guess you have to look at that and come to a conclusion. When all is said and done, Windsor Advantage as a bank wasn't a large bank. It really, its sort of claim to fame was SBA lending. So, it depends on how you look at $100 million. I kind of think, yes, that's a significant amount of money and a significant payment. Because if you looked at just the Westtown as a bank, you wouldn't think that they would have received that kind of payout if it was just a community banking operation.
Interesting.
So the difference then is the premium, if you want to call it that, for involvement with SBA.
But John, this is the second week in a row that you've talked about expertise in SBA lending. You mentioned Live Oak, which is on a big expansion. What other institutions are on your radar that you're following?
Well,
that you can talk about. I'm sorry.
Well, off the top of my head, I'm focused. I've been focused the last 2 weeks on those two, but I think without being able to point to specifics, we are in a period of a great deal of interest in SBA from financial institutions. Number one, just because of the fundamentals of the business, but number two, because the mortgage business has gone into
excellent
eclipse. It's definitely in a bear market, and that stream of revenue has dried up, and banks are looking, and could be dried up for several years. So banks are looking for ways to sort of recapture at least a portion of the money that last year they were generating through origination and sale of mortgages.
Which, Lance, I think that brings, if you're an SBA lending professional, that's good for you. It's potentially will increase your compensation, and that, following up on what I was asking John, yeah, there's a premium for institutions that have SBA expertise. Lance, do you see a premium for lending officers who have the SBA expertise? I know you hired quite a few of them.
Well, I know that the SBA profession has, the compensation level has elevated quite a bit over the last few years. And each time we have an acquisition like this, it has the potential to even elevate more. It was a very interesting acquisition. I agree with John. You know, not only did they buy existing SBA lender, but they got the largest lender service provider in the country. So they jumped in the SBA world in a very big way.
It's interesting, John, also, there is a barrier to entry in the loan service providers, and that SBA has to approve your relationship with them. And if you can develop that expertise and be a loan service provider that knows what they're doing, SBA will sign off on you, as opposed to if you're new to the business, it may drag on for a while.
Yes, but I think if you look at SBA's sort of approach to regulation, you know, they have always had an attitude, it seems to me, that because they're a relatively small agency and they do not have the manpower to go into every SBA lender and sort of kick the tires and look under the hood, as it were, they like the fact that almost all but a handful, and obviously Lance knows, you know, some of the ones that are not depository lenders, but all but a handful are depository lenders who are regulated, you know, to a significant degree by the banking and credit union regulatory agencies. So NCUA, OCC, FDIC, the Fed, and because MVB is a bank, obviously, and not only that, the state bank and state credit union regulatory agencies, I don't want to forget them as well, but because it has that level of regulation, I think they would feel a lot more comfortable, and it probably, the deal probably went a lot more smoothly than if a non-bank player had wanted to purchase them and get into the business.
I agree with you. I think that's fine.
We have a comment from Mr. Haney saying MVB is a PLP lender, and they've been for a little over a year now.
Okay, but I think still that they have been historically that they haven't been doing this at the level that Westtown has and the big player. I think, but that I still think I would call this for them a big step up, both in lending. Yeah. And I guess looking back, you know, if I were smarter, I would have seen that as a sign, you know, a year ago that they got the PLP status, because I guess I've been obscured with the other business lines. They have a lot of interesting business lines there, and they do all of them very well. I should say that too.
Good. Good. Yeah, we didn't mean to disparage MVB.
No, no. They're in good hands with Blitzer.
Thank you for that. Joseph, what do we got? What do we got on the NFIB, National Fall? Wow.
Federation.
Federation
of Independent Businesses. Wow. This is a pricing report from the July NFIB report, and it's off the charts. If you could look back 35 years of tracking this, and this is where we're at with supply chain issues, inflation. The only positive number that Delaney's reporting is how many positions are available. So hiring is up, but that increases costs as well. Yeah. It's just an incredible chart that they're presenting. You can see the recession 10 years ago, but this is new. New ground. This is some of the stats. Half the businesses are reporting new job openings. The big stat is that the 65% are reporting higher prices. I don't think that's any new headline, but small businesses are being hurt just as big as big. So
See, I think the headline is 35% aren't.
yeah. Right. Yeah.
I want to know what they're doing. Anyway, go ahead, Joseph.
Yeah. The third, 32% are reporting supply chain disruptions. I expected that to be a little bit higher. But these numbers, really going back to this chart, is really off the charts for 35 years of tracking these prices, and this is new territory for us. So good reporting from Delaney. She's off this week, but again, another great report from her. So
very good. Lance, I want you to very briefly, I know you talked about it Friday, just summarize very quickly, what were the top 2-3 takeaways that you got from last week from Nashville?
One of the takeaways is the SOP, the new SOP 5010 is on its way. And somebody from SBA indicated that we probably would see it in October. Not only will we see that in October, but it's possible we'll see another revision of the SOP 5010 sometime second or third quarter of 2022 or 2023. I'm sorry, I get my years wrong. So a new SOP is coming. The other big takeaways is some of the changes in the SOP that we've heard about. Example, unsecured lending is going to increase. It's going to be in the SOP. We don't know what the number is yet, but it's going to increase from 25,000 up to, say, they mentioned 40 or 50,000. So we'll see.
What's your guess?
50. I can't fathom them doing 40. I see 50.
50.
Also, a great thing is it's going to make permanent the fee waiver on SBA Express loans for veterans. And the final thing I'd throw out there is they're talking about adding some fee relief for lenders on smaller loans to encourage them to do smaller SBA loans. So the ongoing fee will either be discounted or maybe, I doubt they'll do away with it, but they're talking about discounting the lender fee on smaller SBA loans.
And they've also raised the maximum fee you can charge. So that's not an incentive. I think that's a huge incentive. Lance, what are you talking about on Wednesday?
Well, heard this from SBA headquarters staff that understanding servicing and understanding how to get paid on your guarantees really critically important going forward. And we're going to talk about SBA repairs and denials and how to avoid those. Again, you guys hear this from me over and over again, but I always say it's time to dust off your servicing and liquidation hat. Well, it truly is time to dust off.
And that came right from SBA, right, Lance? I mean, that's what they're telling you.
It came directly from headquarters staff, so please jump in and participate in that. And then the following week, we're going to talk about equity injection issues, and headquarters staff also indicated problems with equity injection create a lot of repairs and denials. So 2 good programs. Please jump in and sign up for those.
John, I don't know if you follow this, but I'm going to be doing this. I think Lance is going to join me as well. California is their Department of Financial Protection and Innovation is passing a lot of laws that are affecting lenders. Now, right now, it's only affecting state chartered banks, not national banks. But is that on your radar? Is that something that you're following, what these individual states are doing in terms of disclosure requirements and data collection?
It is on our radar, particularly mine with small business data collection, because it's coming at the same time that the CFPB is
right.
Is sort of maneuvering into the same territory. You can look at it as a sort of a tax on just doing business, a regulatory.
Well, what's scary, I know Virginia is doing their own. The problem is you have these states that are doing their own thing and their own requirements. So And then you have the national CFPB, but California thinks, well, we can do our own as well. So you're going to have the CFPB wanting data from you. You're going to want the state of California if you have any type of lending presence. And it's going to be the interesting times continue, Lance and John and Joseph.
Absolutely.
Hey, thank you all for joining us. We appreciate it. And thank you for joining us today for Coleman Report Live and for supporting America's Main Street. One entrepreneur.
Have a
Thanks,
great
everyone.
day.
Thank you for joining us today for today's episode. If you like today's content, hit that subscribe button to subscribe to our channel and click that bell icon to get notified about our latest videos. Thank you again for joining us today and for supporting America's Main Street, one entrepreneur at a time. Catch you next time.